Everyone. In my last video, I've explained to you about the clubbing of income where I've discussed section 60, 61, 62, and 63, and also a part of section 64 that deals with the transfer to spouse where the transferor is having substantial interest in the business. Today, I will discuss in detail about the section 64. So, let me recall what I have discussed under this section in my earlier video. There I have discussed that Mr. X, who is having a substantial interest in the business, let me tell you about the substantial interest. What it is? Substantial interest means having some right in the business in the form of having holding the shares, debentures, preference shares, or any other right in the business which gives him some authority in the business, right? So, I gave you an example where I told that Mr. X and Y were the business partners. Mr. X having 30% of the share of the company, that means Mr. X was having the substantial interest in the business. There, he appointed his wife, Mrs. X, and she was a manager getting 50,000 of the salary per month. But this was not a valid case because I told that in every company the auditor comes, and whenever auditor finds that a person is given more salary than he deserves, then he label it as an unnecessary expenditure and makes the business partners or the owners of the business make changes in that particular disclosure of the income under various head. So what happens finally? Suppose the auditor comes in the business and he sees that Mrs. X, in spite of not having the degree, she is the manager and getting this much of the amount. Then he will question the management, he will question the company owners, why is she being given, and he will make sure that this amount is added back to the income of Mr. X, and he'll be made liable to pay the tax on the total income which he has by fraud he has tried to divert it to Mrs. X. Another situation under this is where when a person transfer house property to a spouse without consideration or adequate consideration, in such a case income is clubbed. What happens that Mr. X, he's having a house property, okay, and he is transferring that to Mrs. X. He's transferring that to Mrs. X, the house property, okay, of 1 lakh. So but he's not getting anything. Like we do sometimes people do family transaction just to escape from the payment of the tax. That is what he's doing. If he will transfer this house property to her and the income associated with it, but he's not getting anything back from her, because if he gets something back from her, like if I'm selling my house, okay, and the worth is 1 lakh, okay, but this person is simply diverting the house property but not getting this consideration of 1 lakh. That means in such a case, what if there is a transaction between Mr. X and Mrs. X without this consideration, in such a case the amount of consideration should be clubbed back in the hands of in the income of transferor. Here Mr. X is a transferor, so the amount of 1 lakh will be clubbed with his income, right? So you have to keep in mind that the person who is earning, if she is having professional qualification or technical qualification, in that case she can be allowed that salary, okay, or whatever the income she is getting, she will be allowed and it will not be clubbed. But when she is not having the skill and his partner, his spouse, is having the substantial interest in the business, in such a case the amount earned by his spouse will be clubbed back, all right. And second situation is that when the spouse transfer any asset without consideration, in such a case also the amount of that particular asset will be clubbed back with the amount of the transferor, as explained in this example. That transferor is Mr. X, so amount will be clubbed back with his income, right? Now, moving on, there can be different situation as well, that uh, he's thinking that okay, fine, I cannot directly divert the amount to my wife. So what he does is, Mr. X, he brings a medium in between, like he does some charity. If you do charity, you cannot means when we do charity, there is nothing return in the return we are getting from it, right? Because it is done for social cause, so we do not get any kind of return from it. Okay, so what it does is, Mr. X is making any kind of some amount of payment to in a trust. Okay, and he's having an agreement with the trust that whatever amount he's investing and the income generated from it, 20% of that income should be diverted, should be given to Mrs. B. So anyhow, what he is doing is, he is giving a portion of his income in the trust just to reduce the burden of his tax, just to disclose the lesser amount of income. And from that also, somehow he is getting the amount invested back through his wife, right? He's telling the trust that you have to pay back this much percent of the profit to my wife. So somehow he is not paying, first of all, tax on 100% of his property. Suppose he is transferring 1 lakh rupees in a trust, he's giving in a trust. Okay, he says that 20% should be given back. Okay, that means 20,000 will be given back to Mrs. X. So here, overall, what is happening, he is not paying tax on this as well as this amount, right? So whenever a person brings a medium, so these can be considered as a medium, whenever he brings any medium in between and then make the transfer to the spouse, in such a case also, whatever income he is transferring will be clubbed back with the income of the transferor. All right. Another one situation can be where both the partners will be having a substantial interest in a business. So let us consider this example: Mr. X and Mrs. X, they are doing the business where Mr. X is holding 30% of the share and Mrs. X is holding 70% of the share. So from the business, Mr. X is getting 3 lakh salary and Mrs. X is getting 7 lakh as salary. Okay, apart from that, Mrs. X is having house property of 5 lakh and she is earning from a second business amount of rupees 5 lakh. Okay, so her total income is how much? 5 plus 5 plus 7, 17,000, right? Sorry, 17 lakh she is earning. Okay, consider Mr. X, he is earning just 3 lakh. So what Mrs. X does, she diverts these two to her husband, so that what happens, her income is disclosed as 7 lakh and his husband her husband income is disclosed as 13 lakh, right? So why is she doing this? You should understand it, because if her total on the income of total of 17 lakh, she has to pay a tax of 30%, that is equal to 5 lakh 10,000. But when she divert these two to her husband, when she transfer in the name of her husband, then the income here is 13 lakh. On 13 lakh he is liable to pay tax of only 20%, that means he is liable to pay a tax of 2 lakh 60,000. So you can very well see a huge difference of amount between these two figures. So somehow she is trying to uh, pay lesser amount of tax she is liable to pay, right? So for this, under section 64, the provision is made and it is said that when both the partners are having substantial interest, one who is earning more, the other income will be clubbed, the other income will be automatically clubbed with the income of the one earning more. So when you see both the partners are having substantial interest, you no need to worry about any other thing. Whatever income is disclosed, okay, apart from the salary income, that should be clubbed with the income of the partner earning more. All right, so these are the situation. And also one of the important thing under this is, I'll read out, it is a very very important concept you should understand. Where an asset is transferred directly or indirectly by an individual to his or her spouse, are invested in the business by transferee, the proportionate income arising from such income should be included in the total income of the transferor. What does it mean? It means that when I'll give you an example. Suppose, consider a situation where where Mr. X, he is transferring 1 lakh rupee to his wife, Mrs. X. Mrs. X. Okay. Now, what Mrs. X does, she get this amount and she invest it. She invest it in a business. She gets this. Suppose this is a jewelry, right? So Mr. X is very happy and he purchased a jewelry for her wife worth rupees 1 lakh, and he gives to his wife. All right. Her wife takes this amount, that this jewelry, and she sells it for 1,50,000. Okay, so here the profit arising here is 50,000. Okay, in whose hand this 50,000 will be liable to pay? So the amount of 50,000 will be liable to be paid in the hands of Mr. X. Why is it so? Because just now I have studied, when there is any asset transferred directly or indirectly by an individual to his spouse, are invested in the business by the transferee. So here it is invested in the, so what she is doing, she is selling it. So it's kind of like it is getting out from her hand. The proportionate income arising from such a income should be included in the total income of the transferor. So what is happening here, in no contribution is made by Mrs. X, so the amount, she is not liable to pay any tax on this, but all the investment, that is price of 1 lakh is made by Mr. X, so he is liable to pay tax on the amount of this 50,000. But suppose, I will extend this example. Consider the case that Mr. X gave 1 lakh worth jewelry to Mrs. X. She sells it for 1,50,000, and then now she is holding this 1,50,000, and she adds another, she adds some amount and invests 3 lakh in a business. She invests 3 lakh in a business. So now we have to see, in this 3 lakh, who has contributed how much. So in this 3 lakh, Mr. A has given, Mr. X has given 1 lakh, and the rest amount belongs to Mrs. X. Okay, so the ratio here comes is 1:2. All right. So, and when she invests this amount in the business, okay, she earns a profit of 9,60,000. So now what will happen here? Whatever is profit here it is earned, that is 9,60,000. This profit should be distributed in the ratio of 1:2. The portion, that is one third of this, that is 3,20,000. Okay, and 64, that is 2/3, right? So this amount will be the Mr. X will be liable to pay tax on this amount, whereas Mrs. X will be liable to pay tax on this amount, that is in the ratio of 1:2. So that is what is explained here, that when an asset is transferred directly or indirectly by an individual to his or her spouse or invested in the business by transferee, the proportionate income arising from such income should be included in the total income of the transferor. So here we are talking about proportionate. So why, and here what we have done, in 3 lakh we have found the portion in which the investment was made by Mr. X and Mrs. Y, and according to that we have separated the portion of their contribution, that is profit, on which they are liable to pay taxes. In their proportionate income, whatever has arisen in their ratio, we have divided, and it has been disclosed that 3,20,000 should be tax on 3,20,000 should be paid by Mr. X, whereas tax on rupees 6,40,000 should be paid by Mrs. X. This is what it means. Okay, so overall this was the situation which can take place under section 64. Okay, so in this I will recall what are the things we have discussed. We have discussed that the other partners should have the specialized qualification and technical qualification. If she has, then separately it will be mentioned as her own income. If not, it should be clubbed back with her spouse, with her spouse income. If not that, the other another situation we have discussed, that there must be consideration involved. If there is no consideration involved in the transfer of the asset, then it should be clubbed back with the income of the transferor. Third one, we have income. We have discussed that whenever there is a transfer, okay, and reinvestment of that transferred amount, then the whatever income is arised, it should be divided in between both the spouse, and they are made liable to pay tax on the amount which they have contributed, okay, in the business, in the new business. Okay, another, we have discussed another one situation, that is when both are having substantial interest. In that case, whatever amount is there, whatever property they are holding, or whatever source of income they are having, the income apart from their salary should be clubbed with the person earning more. Okay, that is, if I told that here Mrs. X was earning more, so whatever income she has earned through a second business or house property is clubbed back with her business. So this is what we have discussed, we have under section 64. Now moving on with the subsections, like under this also we cover that transfer to son's wife. Same thing happens when we make transfer to the son's wife without any consideration, then it has to be clubbed back in the hands of transferor, right? So now moving on to the section 64 subsection 1a. In this we are talking about minor child. So in under minor child, you have to keep in mind that when minor child is having some talent, then that income belongs to him because he has earned due to his talent. But when he has not earned due to his talent, then that income should be clubbed back with the income of his parent. In that also you should be careful with whose income it should be clubbed. Suppose Mr. X and Mrs. X. Mr. X is earning 1 lakh and Mrs. X is earning 2 lakh. So under this section it is said that whoever is earning more, with that person, income of the minor child should be clubbed if not earned by the means of technical skill or any other skill like singing, dancing. Alright, if any gift is given, so that should be also clubbed back with the parent earning more, because when you gift somebody you do not get anything back, you do not get any consideration for it, so again you have to club back. Okay, and under this a very important section must be talked about, that is section 10 subsection 32. According to this section, 1500 per child exemption is given to the parents of the minor child. So here if I say that their daughter Anjali, okay, she is the income of her is disclosed as 10,000 due to interest from bank. So here we very well know that there is no skill involved, it is just the amount transferred by her parent, right? So this amount should be added back with the income of her parent. Which parent? Mother or father? So obviously it will be added with the mother's income because she is earning more. So her total income becomes 2,10,000. But due to the provision of section 10 subsection 32, she will be provided an exemption of amount 1500. Now whatever comes the amount, okay, that is 2,08,500. Okay, so she is liable to pay only tax on this amount, not on this amount. She is getting an exemption of 1500. All right. And the last thing which we are going to discuss, that is section 64 subsection 2. What happens here under this? Okay, we are going to discuss section 64 subsection 2. It deals with the HUF means Hindu undivided family. All right, its head is known as Karta. The head of the Hindu undivided family is the Karta. So here the provision says when any person transfer the property in the name of HUF, income arising from such property will be taxable in the hands of the transferor. So what happens here, I will explain you with an example. Okay, suppose Mr. X, okay, he is a member of HUF family. Okay, and here in this HUF family comes Mrs. X, minor son, minor daughter. Okay, so what he does is whatever income he earns, suppose he is earning 1 lakh rupees, and he simply transfer this in the name of HUF, okay, Hindu undivided family, and he show that the income of 1 lakh is the income of HUF. In such a case, whatever amount he is transferring will be clubbed back because there is no source, like there must be a business in the name of HUF, okay, and in that business it cannot be said because HUF consists of Mrs. X, minor son, major son, but they are not doing, no, they are not performing any activity through which they can earn the amount. So again this all amount is earned by Mr. X. He would have he might be doing the business separately, right? But he is simply to escape from the payment of the tax, he is just transferring this amount in the name of HUF. So this should be clubbed back. Okay, but when there can be another situation where he is simply transferring this amount, okay, and telling that the amount transferred, that the income, this income is earned by all of their family. Suppose this business is HUF is doing a business, and the business is earning 1 lakh rupee, okay, and this is divided equally among all. So 20,000, 20,000, 20,000 and 20,000. Suppose this is a family business, like HUF is a Hindu family is doing a business, that is he is having a bakery shop, suppose, okay, where anybody can work, right? So consider they are from a middle class family, and their son, daughter, everybody is made to work in the shop. So they are earning 1 lakh, and they have the agreement that it will be divided among all the family member. So in that case, if they ask that if they ask what will be the income of Mr. X, in such a case what should be the answer here? You very well know that minor child and major child, since they are not earning through any specialized skill, so their income will be automatically added with the parents income, right? So it will directly go with Mr. X. Also Mrs. X, Here we cannot differentiate who is earning more because both of them are earning equally, right? Minor child, both of them are minor child and Hindu undivided family. And you must remember that in a Hindu undivided family, the elder person, the male member, is only the karta, right? So he is the head of the family. So everything, all the income should be clubbed back with his income, because he is the head of the family. And he has the ownership. Usually the ownership lies in the hands of karta of the Hindu undivided family. So the income of this Mrs. X, minor son, minor daughter, everything should be clubbed back with the income of Mr. X, and he is liable to pay a tax on the amount 1 lakh. But do not forget, since the minor child is included, you have to make a deduction of rupees 1500 per child. Here the number of child is 2, so the deduction will be 1500 into 2, that is 3000 rupees deduction. So finally Mr. A is liable to pay tax on. The chart which is explaining the cases where no clubbing of income should be done. Okay, so you have to keep in mind these things. If you keep these things in your mind, then you won't be confused, and easily you can understand and solve all the problems related to the clubbing of income. So when there is a transfer of ownership, you don't need to club back. If the consideration is involved, no need to club back. When the asset is not revocable, you should not add. When the transfer of the asset is not done in the name of HUF, you should not club back. And under special child, if the child is earning through his own special skill, or the wife is earning through her special skill, in such a case we do not have to club the income in the hands of trans in the with the income of transferor. All right, so if you keep in your mind this small chart, then it will be very easy for you to do other practical problems. In next video I'll be discussing some of the practical problem. I hope it was useful. Thank you.